Hi, I'm Michael Smith for Nevada Trails. It's a very special show. We have Jackie Chandler's back talking about Sustainable Tahoe, and this is our second effort. But we also got a lot of calls on where they can get the olive oil that you talked about from the gal in Placerville, and I said, I don't know. So can you tell me?
Well, that's a great opening, Michael, and it comes from Winter Hill, and it is available in South Lake Tahoe at the Farmers Market on Tuesday.
Okay.
But I actually brought some videos to share. Last time we had talked about the treasure hunt of identifying assets.
Exactly.
And that's part of what I did over the summer down in the south part of Lake Tahoe and over into El Dorado County. And so I video captured some of these and the people's story. And so if your audience would like, we can show you Winter Hill. They can see exactly where it is.
I would love to see it. I need
Okay.
some education. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Years ago, we went to Italy and fell in love with olives. My ancestry is from Sicily, and the hills reminded us of Italy. We started out with 7-year-old trees so that we could have a harvest. Our flavored oils are with our mission, and then we do have a regular mission olive. We have to pass an acidity level test as well as a taste test. We have to have less than 0.5% acidity to be considered extra virgin, and we have to taste like the fruit. Extra virgin is the only oil that you get all the health benefits from. This seal guarantees you that you're getting 100% extra virgin. We take in products that are made artisanally within El Dorado County. We have a few things from Italy that we import. The rest of it is from local growers and artisanal producers. We have always loved the artwork of developmentally disabled artists. So when we were going about doing our label, we decided to have their artwork on our labels. And Johnny is from Mother Lode Rehab, and Gina is from Southside Art Center in Sacramento. So a percentage of the proceeds that from these bottles that with our art labels goes to their schools every year.
I love working here.
Good. Do you have a lot of repeat business?
We do, yeah. You get to know your customers very well, and that's always fun.
Do you have a favorite oil?
My favorite, I have 4. I can't limit it. I have the lemon, lime, basil, and jalapeno. Are my 4 favorites to cook with.
Well, thanks, Jackie. That was interesting.
It's very moving to see how much of the community she affects, how much benefit there is for the community, how much involvement. Okay, so identify is one thing, and then developing assets is real important. It's like cleaning the house before the guests arrive. And one place in particular, Embassy Suites, has done an amazing job getting ready from a sustainable practices point of view. And Embassy Suites in South Lake Tahoe is the first green certified hotel. And the first year they decided to reduce waste and energy costs, they saved $500,000 and made $750,000 in free publicity and a $100,000 piece of business that they wouldn't have had they not done such practices. And so I brought the clip to show the interview with David Hansen, who learned from Robert Redford out at Sundance the ways to green up a facility and have a benefit for the guests and the environment. And also Harlan, who is the comp manager, and the effect it's had on the employees, which I think is the most exciting part. So let's watch.
Sounds good.
Our gardener was working on the front lawn, and we went down to get some topsoil. Well, that soil came from all our composting that took place in comp services in the hotel in the previous months. So it came full circle, and it was an awesome thing. You know, and to tell you the truth, as soon as that happened is what really got me to believe in it.
We were throwing away, along with all these recyclables. We've pulled all that out of the waste stream, and we've reduced our waste bill from $8,000 a month to $3,000 a month. So $5,000 a month savings in just doing the right thing. And the guests help us, and they want to help us. So that's amazing right there. It was hard in the beginning, and we had to do ROIs. We had to prove to the owners we could get their money back. We told them 2 years. It's going to be 10 months. So once we got the big stuff, like the energy, out of the way, we started looking at everything in the property, everything we purchased. We wrote a purchasing policy. Everything we purchase needs to be sustainable. And each month as we get into this, we find more ways to save energy. So we're still amazing ourselves with how much we're saving. Year to date, we've saved $250,000 on energy, and we're looking at saving $500,000 in energy this year.
And you know, and keep in mind, we're 400 rooms. We're not a small ship. We put out some waste.
We are the spotlight property of the month for July for our sustainability efforts. That's worldwide amongst 5,000 hotels we were chosen. But we're doing it and people are seeing what we're doing, and now we're getting calls from Embassy Suites all over the place. But then other hotels are finding out about us through our website. Got a call last week from the resort at Pebble Beach on the info. They were going to hire a consultant, and I told them, you don't need to. Here's all the info in an email. Here it all is. Do it yourself.
At first, it was, yeah, you know, we're going to do this, and it's such a big mountain that you feel you just have a small little shovel there. But once it came back, and I actually saw that topsoil, I went, you know, it's a pride. It's really in the measures that we're taking for the lake that we live in and the area. It's awesome.
One thing I liked about the Embassy Suites is that as far as local benefit, and I don't think they laid off any people.
No. As a matter of fact, they were hiring during the summer and they were booked during shoulder season just because the buzz got out, especially in the Bay Area. And a lot of companies now are very particular about places that they choose for their conventions and like that. And so Embassy Suites is on top of the list.
It was on top of the list for people applying for jobs.
Yeah.
While other people were laying off, they were hiring, and it was awesome. A feeling for the lake. It was really good, and
Really
by
good.
that clip, it was very, very good. And thank you because I need the education, but now I know why.
Well, it's neat. I mean, and this is part of the development, getting to know our neighborhood, getting to know what hotels and resorts and restaurants and stores and who are the local artists. Where do you find the local Tahoe items that are actually made here? Another thing about Embassy Suites is the composting they're talking about went to Full Circle, which is right here in Carson. And Craig Witt over at Full Circle's done an amazing job at taking food waste, which is the one non-contaminant waste we have in our culture, and turning it into the most fertile soil that goes, as he mentioned, back to the hotel. They put it in their gardens, and now they're talking about doing community gardens and growing food up in Lake Tahoe.
Well, that's
so
fantastic.
this is just getting better.
Yes.
Another video I brought, another thing that we talked about is when you're thinking of changing the tourism menu, because really tourists and visitors, travelers, when they come here, they can only choose what's on the menu. And if certain things are promoted, those are the things they'll do. But visitors around the world are also looking to get a sense of the place. They want to feel connected and be a part of it. So restoration activities are becoming big on visitor menus. And one thing we have here is called the Green Team. And I brought a video to just show you, these are some students, it was their first time coming out, and they were working with an some older retired couple that have been here for 10 years, and they come every year. They trade a place to camp with their RV in exchange for leading young groups of kids around and showing them how to restore. So this is another item that we want to lift up and put on the map so that visitors know that they can participate in the restoration activities, which you know are abundant.
I love it. This sounds great.
So let's check it out.
Okay, the Green Team.
The Green Team.
My wife and I were avid hikers. We could never figure out who built the hiking trail. The group here was looking for people to work on the rim trail. Well, we figured, well, that's how we'll learn how the trail got in there, and we learned.
Try something new.
Yeah.
Learn.
It's pretty fun. It's really challenging. We can say that we've done it. Yeah. We've been there and helped it.
This fencing in here, there's another section on the other side that we finished this year, a 5-year project that my wife and I finished. And every year we've had some group of kids come in, and we've modeled how to do things and how to do it right.
Like Bob was saying, from the youngest kids to the oldest folks here, working together.
It was really fun.
That's such a great idea.
Inspiration comes from within, I guess. People do this, not only me, but there's 12 other volunteers on this site. And they volunteer all over the country, some of them. And we do it for satisfaction and to pay back. Pay back time, pay back effort. Somebody before me did something, and I'm trying to follow his footsteps and keep it going.
Well, that was awesome. I think the Green Team really spells out a lot of things you've been trying to tell us. It's just, you're doing great.
I mean, that's instant stewardship. These kids are now connected to a place. They helped do an activity that put back some well-being. I think the part that moved me the most is at the end when I asked him what he was doing it for, and he said to pay back. And I thought, yeah, it was such a natural feeling of someone put that trail, I want to put it for somebody else and keep it going.
It's very personal when you get dirty.
Yes.
When you're touching dirt, soil, there's something that I was playing with my yard and my planting,
That's right, you were mentioning.
planting green mints and bushes and things and clover. But when you're getting dirty and you're digging the holes with your hands and making sure the plant gets a new life started,
Yeah.
and imagine doing trails. I mean, my little property, and now I'm thinking, boy, that's trails. And every time they walk them, they think I was here and I did something special, and
Right.
so that's a great thing.
And think of kids when they come back, if they help to restore a creek, put some wildflowers, it's like they get to see it grow. Hey, look it, I helped do that.
Yeah, they might be in charge of a youth group
They
too.
become a part of it, and that's become a very fulfilling activity for visitors, and we have lots of opportunities like that around the lake. They're just not on the menu. So the goal of this, and that's what we invite the audience to do, is scout, identify some of these assets, think about how they can be developed. This one, like I said, some of these are ready for the map. Others might want to be developed a little bit. Another thing that we have that's very special to this area is, of course, are the people that are native, and those would be the Paiutes, the Western Shoshone, and the Washoe. And last summer I went out to Valhalla, out on South Lake, and they have the Washishu Basket Festival. And we talked to some of the people there that had won the contest and learned a little bit about their basket weaving. And again, this is culture and heritage unique to our area, so this is an authentic asset, and these are things to scout for and think about how we can bring them more into the limelight of the visitor's experience. So I brought a little clip to share about that.
Oh, I'd love to see it.
Okay.
You just gotta be careful. Right. You know, we try.
Okay.
And you just weave it. It's called coiling. You just go round and round and round and round, and you shape the basket as you go.
So where does it go from here?
The hardest part of a basket is the very beginning.
Yes. Materials here again, is this a willow?
This one is willow. These sticks here are willow. And those are what you weave around there, and those are willow. This is willow here, and it's split willow. It's not whole shoot. It's split in half and shaved down, and then this is redbud. And then this band is choke cherry here, this stick here. What that does is just stabilize it, make it stronger. And when you use that brick switch, it causes, see how that line kind of swirls? That's what that brick stitch does. It takes that sideways naturally.
Well, that's very, very interesting. You do good work. And every time I go someplace and I see these baskets, I always say those are so beautiful. Mm-hmm. So by going and watching them being made, that has to be even more special.
You know, it also, first of all, Charmaine is the woman there that she was talking about the red bud in her basket, and part of the process in making a basket is the intention that you put into the basket. I got into a conversation with some Washoe, and the common question they said that non-native people ask is, well, how long did it take you? And they laugh at that because, although we don't really know the right question, but the right question is, what was your intention? And they weave intention into the basket. It's part of the process of carrying that journey into something that carries food and goods as part of their culture. But the other thing that caught me about the festival was when the woman pointed out, Darlene, that it's the beginning of the basket that's the hardest. And I brought a basket last time that I wove from pine needles, and it's true. The beginning is the hardest, and to me that's sort of a metaphor for this journey. The beginning of this journey of identifying and developing geotourism assets to make our destination sustainable is the hardest part, because it feels like we're just going in the dark. But we just trust and think of that intention as we weave our basket for this area of how we can be more sustainable by honoring, celebrating what is authentic here that is so wonderful, and bringing that out.
Well, if you love what you do when you weave a basket, you put your heart and soul into it. Like Lake Tahoe, if we put our heart and soul into it, we're going to pop up a lot of things. It's like my food always tastes the best because I love cooking and I love what I'm doing.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter about time or space. That's a different concept. What concept is eating the food or seeing the basket and feeling it and your taste and your senses. So I just, anything to do with those baskets, every time I see one, I just know someone spent a lot of time and a lot of love on that product. And,
that's right.
And we should try to give them more attention so that it gets passed down to the next generation.
Yeah, I'm not sure where their baskets are available to buy, but I also know that, and I may do that at one of the shows, bring in some pine needles and just show how that you can there's pine needles everywhere, that we can just play and make some baskets. We could maybe enroll visitors in that experience, but owning one of those, they are museum works of art. They're quite quite spectacular. And they do have the festival in the summer.
I like that idea. A lot of pine needles around there.
Yeah, there are a lot of pine needles. It's fun. And then last time I was here, I shared with you some artwork from
Oh, yeah? Okay.
one of another local. He's a Paiute and a Washoe. His name is Paul Stone. And I thought for fun, he was at the Basket Festival, so I was able to get some video of him. And he was playing flute, and then he talked too, so I laid the flute underneath, and you'll hear his story. But what's interesting is that he made up the song just on the spot, and then he told some stories about how when he's played before, what happens in nature when he plays with the animals. So I thought it would be fun. So I'll share a little bit.
And all of a sudden, all of a sudden, dragonflies came from everywhere. They started dancing out in the middle of the arena. And then when I got done playing, they just all disappeared. And all weekend, and to this day, people still go, "There's the guy that makes dragonflies dance." So you never know what's going to happen when you play for animals. What I do to get connected to the earth, like sometimes I just get fed up with the outside world as far as, traffic and pollution and everything when it gets me down. I go sit up in the high country like this and sit there and play my flute and just soak up the energy from the earth and the high Sierras and breathe the fresh air. It's kind of like a meditation type thing, but it's still just, I call it rejuvenating. So there we went out and I played my flute for a family of coyotes, a mother baby and a father coyote. And it was the funniest thing because mother baby hid, but the father ran out to the meadow and sat where he could watch me because we were right along the Snake River up there on a meadow, and he was sitting there watching me play flute. And about the third song, the little baby coyote came up from hiding and ran out to the meadow and he started dancing and singing with my flute music. He was bucking up and down and spinning circles, and he was howling but he was howling with the flute. He was trying to howl like the flute, but not like a coyote.
Well, I'll tell you, Paul's a very talented man. And the stories, that's unbelievable. I like to do it. I want to get me a flute, too. But he's been doing it for a long time.
Well, but what he's done is what's native to their culture is building that personal practice with the land so that they understand and they have a relationship that honors the connection. And that's something that we can inspire here because we're so abundant in such natural beauty. And I really think that's what people come for. They really come for the sacredness of being connected to the space. And these are the types of activities and events and culture and heritage that we have that will help them understand that. And that will be such a rich story to take home. That's what's cool about it.
Well, I agree.
One other thing I went over, you've heard of Apple Hill, right?
I love Apple Hill.
Yeah, Apple Hill's very cool. And so I went over there to their Camino Art Festival and met some of the women that make the jam. They grow the food there, they make the jam, and then the jam is distributed, I think, around Nevada, certain areas. And we captured this one woman, Betty, who talks about her heritage just with farming in this Camino area. And it's interesting because you get to, I realized when I was over there, these farmers that live in these with 14 feet of topsoil, they're really living sustainable destination and tourism because their life only exists because they live in the rhythm of the land and they have to maintain that harmony in order to survive. So they really get this, and there's a lot to learn from the farmer. So I brought this to share.
That's
it's called
beautiful.
Jammin'.
How many of these farms are going to be left in families? In the 1860s, Nels Larson and his wife Mom started farming. They had very large areas, and he gave each of his sons some acreage. There was one son, which was my late husband, and so my kids are it. I grew up over by Pleasant Valley Road. Great-grandfather was in the Civil War, and he came out here in the 1860s also, and he settled over on Bucks Bar. I still have a lot of family over there, but I moved 10 miles away. I grew up canning, making jams and stuff, and I make it like I'd make the jams like my mom did, just old-fashioned. I like to keep the jars in boiling water so that they're all sanitized, and I take it out of there and then fill them. Is we take an old beer pitcher, the straight-sided beer pitchers, and you can get almost 6 half pints out of a pitcher. This goes in really thin, but it'll thicken as it cools. Yeah, so that's about it.
Well, that's about it. I thought
it's
that was
great.
perfect. That was so cute.
It was very interesting. I had never seen jam made, and then you see the blueberries outside. It goes into jam, and the jam goes to the store, and it's just delicious. I mean, I would have brought some, but I admit it, I ate it all.
Well, and that's just taking care of business there.
What we're asking the community here to do, when you come across these relics, how can they be part of a visitor's experience that will provide a richer story? And then visitors come more often, they stay longer, and of course they want to eat and buy things, and that's how you grow, that's how you become sustainable, because the money spent in the community that buys local grown or local products cycles 2.5 times. But if people come in and they participate or they go to places where everything's imported, it's a half a time and the money's out. And that's how places become impoverished. When everything's imported, money goes out. But when we're looking to bring in the Betty with the jam and all these other things, 2.5 times it cycles. That's how sustainability becomes sustainable, and how
That's
area
why we're here right
becomes
now,
wealthy.
to get people to look at the label.
Yep. Another one we discovered, Boger Winery. What's nice about Boger Winery is there's actually a bus in South Lake that takes people right out to the winery, and it's a beautiful ride through Strawberry.
Oh, that's
to
smart.
get out
It is
there.
beautiful.
Yep. And the nice thing about Boger, Craig Boger, so you'll just see it in the video. He has so much pride and excitement about the place he has, and it's been in his family for a very long time. And the culture, the heritage, and working in the rhythm of the land again, all of this works together to give a very rich experience. Plus, he has a blacksmith on the property that does authentic blacksmith work. And I didn't bring that video. We could do it another time. But there's you could spend a whole day out there. And he has a 100-year-old wine vine that goes over the old house. You'll see it. I didn't call it out, but we'll take a look.
Well, that sounds good.
My idea was to have this ranch be something like you kind of come back in time and see agriculture in California, what it was like after the turn of the century, before everything was mechanized. I mean, that's my heritage. That's how I grew up. I from Davis, studied winemaking and ag economics and viticulture, and then decided to look for my own vineyard, and then came over here and found this equally historic location. That's the driveway you came down. Here's the building we're in now. I just really like the whole art and science of winemaking. Interesting about. Plus, there's so many grape varieties and so many interesting, you could call them flavors or whatever it is. That it's really fun to experiment. We blends from around the world. We have the names for them: Spanish, Italian, Rhone. So all of the products of the grapes go back into the soil, back into the ground. It helps create nutrients for the grass to grow, prevent soil erosion, putting the stems back in. We put it out in the roadways to improve the stability of the land. So we use integrated pest management, wildlife corridors through his holding ponds for all the animals that come down, they can get their drink of water. And so when I bought this place, that was my idea, is to maintain this as in its heritage and it's true to its historical background, and so that's what we've done.
Well, Jackie, these have been some fantastic examples. I really do appreciate the work.
Well, before I came here, I ate over at the Kama Cafe, and I noticed what a great local place that was, and I talked to the owner, June, and she said that they do buy local. She wasn't sure about Hungry Mother, but they buy from a lot of other local vendors as much as they can. I noticed they had a lot of local goods to sell. And then around the corner was a place called Between, and they have all handmade crafts, garments, artwork, music from all local people. And so it was quite inspiring to just right down here around the block to also notice that you've got a rich resource. I also noticed Paul Westbrook is one of your local authors, and a guy named Sam Flatus, which he has a new book out that they're promoting. So here you have local businesses using local talent, promoting it, and I thought that's a very good sign. Carson's in good shape. It's on its way.
Well,
we just have to get this on the menu.
Well, yeah,
for
Coma
visitors.
Coffee has Chris Bayer, who does some banjo
right.
and some guitar from the old saloon days, and he's a saloon singer type, and I think he plays on Mondays. And so you're seeing the culture, good
Yes.
food, and the building itself is historic in downtown
Yeah.
Carson City. You know, it's right by the Capitol, across the street, kind of, and so I definitely recommend that location. And I'm glad to see that the neighbors were taking care of you too, as far as buying locally.
Yep, they're buying locally, and they're very gracious, and it was just fun to get to know. I mean, that's the journey that we're on now as a community, and to the audience out there, get to know your neighborhood. That's step one in developing your geotourism destination. Get to know your neighborhood, and then where is the talent, the goods, the products, where can it be highlighted? How can the visitor know about it? And if you know about it, then you become a docent, and when you see visitors, you help them find the places, and then they get to go on a treasure hunt. They get richer stories. They're more likely to tell other people. It will create an ongoing demand for the area by going after the parts that they can sustain and enhance. And if visitors are sustaining and enhancing the well-being of our community, wow.
Well, it's like the idea from the last show that the visitors are asking where they can buy Tahoe items, and
Yes.
we should all be saying, we all should be ready for the answer to that question.
That's exactly right.
And when we do, we're going to help sustain our neighbors and sustain our schools and improve our education. There's all kinds of benefits.
That's right.
And the examples you've shown of all the people who give love in their work is another thing that, you're talking about people's life pride
Right.
and generational pride that sometimes that maybe we're not paying attention to in our fast society, to slow down and look at what your neighbor's doing, because you just found some examples and just from coming down here to be on the show.
Yeah, it makes you even feel, I mean, as if there weren't enough reasons to feel good about living here. You've just got a whole bunch more.
Oh, well, it's like Overland Meat up in Tahoe. I wish they would buy,
That's right.
they would do grass-fed meat from, I think, Oregon. And I wish they'd get the grass-fed meat from like Carson Valley. And I'll try to talk to them about tying those connections together and see if they do. Maybe I'll do it a little bit, but for a part of the year. But if we just kind of help each other find these connections.
That's a really good point. So here's another assignment or another request, is when you go into stores and restaurants, find out where your food comes from. In the grocery store, in the restaurant, is this from Overland? I mean, and if it's not, why not? They're local. And that way we keep this cycle going in our community. That's a really good point. Just start asking. Get curious. Get curious.
Right, and like we said earlier, if you can look at buying a Tahoe tourism thing for somebody or
Right.
a tourist item, find out if it's made in Tahoe.
Yeah.
If it's made in China and it just says Tahoe on it, then we're getting scammed.
Then they might as well just pick up a really cool rock.
Yeah, so if you're a
Get some
tourist
pine
here in
needles.
Tahoe right now, make sure your item you're taking back home to your grandkids says made in Tahoe.
Right.
And maybe we should make that our new label. Made in Tahoe or made in the region, so we can all help each other.
That's
and
right.
So the people in Alpha Hill can afford to visit us. The people in Carson can come down, and Coma Coffee will be there next time you come down for a show.
Oh, definitely. I'm definitely going there.
Yeah.
I like to support local.
Well, anyways, we want you all to come and give us a call.
Yes.
Do you have a website set up?
Not yet, but you can email me at jchandler@sustainable-tahoe.com. So.
Sounds good. And my phone number and website's on at the end of the show. And, well,
We'll
anyways.
go from there, and next time we'll bring some pine needles and do a basket weaving lesson.
Well, we have to have you back because this subject's too important to, and your research is so good.
Well, I'm going to go capture a bunch of Carson assets, so we'll really focus on the Carson County next time.
Well, we all appreciate the work. Well, thank you, Jackie Chandler, for being on
You're
Nevada
welcome.
Trails. It's been Michael Smith for Nevada Trails, and thank you for watching Nevada Trails.